This content is intended for adult listeners only. Listener discretion is advised.
This is the audio transcription of the written document I'll be handing to the border guards at each race district. Your guards have already informed you of who I am. If they didn't recognize me, I'm sure you will. I need to share with you some vital information I have about the war and the variant. I'm on a mission to go to each race district, one by one, to meet with each SLO leader. I do know how difficult it has been to keep your community safe and thriving through the many decades. I wish it would have been easier to share with you what I know. But I did risk my life to come here, especially as I passed through some of the most notoriously dangerous areas of the restricted zone. The truth is that we have learned a lot about each SLO over the decades. The information we've collected might just change your perspective about everything that has happened since the war started. I am not with any race district. You don't know who my people are. That's not important. But it is time for reconciliation. I only need an hour of your time and your permission to record your story about the current status of your SLO. The producer.
Entertaining Diversity presents Caucus, After the Fall, created by Teja Arboleda.
Testing. Okay, I'm recording. Well, settling in for the evening. The tent should hold up. I haven't used it since I was in my 30s. It's really cold, but I'm not gonna risk even a little fire. Keep my voice low. Don't want to attract any attention. Today is mid-April 2076. We believe that the race war has officially ended. I am probably the first person to traverse the country since SLOs were established. SLOs are the nationwide race-specific districts, if you will, that were created to keep citizens safe. So, I wouldn't say it's a road trip. Still hot. SLOs, or ethno-solarization, was a pseudoscientific, euphemistic term coined by the former president, Damian Davidson, Jr. His notably crude, boastful style was apparent in the way he walked and talked, but he was best known for his ability to twist words into meaning anything he desired. In fact, right at this moment, you are most likely wearing your race-designated SLO necklace or medallion, or maybe you're hiding it, or you've thrown it away, or maybe you love what it represents and wear it proudly, and either way, it remains a lasting reminder of the tragedy and trauma we've all experienced. And although you may not have ever seen another SLO medallion, I'm sure your curiosity will fuel you with a desire to know, and that, I understand, it is what drives me. You may not know, but just for the record, there are 6 official SLOs. In order of establishment, they are Xinjia for Asians, Southern Dominion for African Americans, Dorado, which is for Hispanic and Latino, Homeland for Indigenous peoples, Hapa Resource for mixed-race individuals, and Northern Imperial for Caucasians. Unofficial SLOs are both locations of Satogae. Those are the breakaway, mostly Asian contingencies, and then there's Lamura, the unknown, some say mythical, nomadic mixed-raced clan. That's where I'm from. And then finally, cutting the country into segments are the large swaths of land called the Restricted Zone. So, why am I telling you all this? I'm a documentary film producer. Well, at least I was a very long time ago. Today, I'm more like a collector of stories and artifacts. Whatever I can get my hands on or record will become part of the American Race War Museum and Memorial. My hope is to meet with the chiefs. Those are the leaders of each SLO. They will want from me an update, but I will also want from them the whereabouts of particularly two very important people who were instrumental in ending the race war. In the 2030s, America had mostly recovered from its racial turmoils due to the nature of its majority-minority population and the significance of the mixed-race generation, or Gen Mix. But then, by the end of that decade, the before United States was thrown into turmoil. A supervirus called the Variant evolved so rapidly, it confounded the world's best scientists. Eventually, with the support of leaders from over 40 countries, their governments, and an international body of experts, the vaccines proved effective in adapting to and predicting behaviors of the virus. Except in the US. While the proactive Congress and the Secretary of State solicited the support of the international community, somehow our own medical experts and local and state leaders were being silenced. Distribution of vaccines did take place, but why no one questioned the actual methods is beyond me. Enough people questioned why non-medical staff were given vaccines, but only after each patient answered a series of questions pertaining to their race and ethnicity. For a national database to ensure security and freedom for all was the message issued forward by the president at that time. A lottery was created to receive a vaccine. Then, not long after, the trickle of vaccines were given to a select few, as the variant seemed to attack people differently, based on race-specific DNA proteins. US scientists, again, baffled, but they too silenced. Now, for investigative documentary producers like myself, the deeper we dug into these phenomena, the more threats we received. Meanwhile, accusations by one group were met with equal vitriol by the other. Factions formed, organized gangs, media, doomsayers, intercity warfare. Images of blacks against Asians, whites against blacks, Latinos against Asians, whites against Native Americans, monoracials blaming mixed-race people. The less information to confirm, the more panic ensued, as people of different races began to die of specific virulent symptoms. The faster this information spread by social media, the news, setting off a whole new wave of race-based violence. And then everything just stopped. No more internet, no more broadcast radio or TV. The distribution of bright orange printed flyers dropped from the last of the flying planes. It seemed ethereal, only something any of us could imagine being in a movie. I got a hold of one of those flyers, a warning to stay put, to not leave the state, wait for the new authorities to issue free vaccines. and wait for further instructions. And the ending sentence is what sent chills through my bones. Quote, "Your race is under attack." When the initial tide of privatized soldiers started strutting into major cities from who knows where, it was almost like a bad joke. They didn't have uniforms, but they were armed, and they had flags with the letters DD, which were the initials of the former president, the world's wealthiest man, worth over $2 trillion. He called them his unifiers. And while the rest of the world had all but forgotten the horrors of the variant, now cured and healthy, many with thriving economies, the US stood alone. In major cities, Los Angeles, Denver, Dallas, Chicago, Atlanta, Miami, Washington, D.C., New York City, Boston, citizens obediently responded to vaccine issuances, arriving at mobile tents for the shot, and curfews. Soon, tens of thousands would die, then hundreds of thousands around the US, and then millions. More flyers dropped with brief commentaries like, "Race war, do your part." And those private soldiers, they now had uniforms. And the trucks they would arrive in had big white letters on the side that read UDAP, the United Distribution Assistance Program. There was no question. We, meaning the entire country, was about to be separated by race. And that was the impetus for the Great Migration, a theoretical and logistical atrocity, breaking up the country by skin tone, race, ethnicity. Families and communities ripped apart, making the 1865 Segregation Act look like a minor infraction. When a black mother and a white father and their mixed-race teenager are forcibly separated and sent to 3 different districts, it was not just the crying and the screaming that filled the air. It was the silent stares of anger and fear that kept you up. You would never sleep again. All major cities collapsed. Infrastructures crumbled. Systemic gas pipe explosions, contaminated water lines, and if it wasn't the variant that killed you, it was dehydration, starvation, exhaustion, and conflict. Desperate for resources, leading to violence and death. Lots of death. America had twice as many guns as people, and stand your ground became the only meme that was understood by all. Millions displaced. Even more millions traveling hundreds, if not thousands of miles to their new designated race-specific regions and districts, the SLOs. And then, the war. The race war. The American race war. No one believed it could ever happen. Makeshift armies, untrained rogue soldiers, vigilantes, and hate groups. UDAP was authorized to implement severity measures with threats to all who opposed or fought back. In the decades following, a nomadic, mixed-race rebellion contingency called La Mura prepared to infiltrate, to spy on all SLOs. The objective was to obtain as much information about the state of each region, secrets and strategies, truths and lies, ultimately with the goal of taking down the makeshift government, the dictatorship, and establishing a new order, a new country. But it was too difficult, too dangerous for adults to merge into different race districts. And because communications, computers, the internet, and satellite technology was all but dead, there was only one way to get people in without raising concerns. So, Lamuda, with its ethnically ambiguous mixed-race advantage, trained their own children, sometimes as young as 6, to tag into, in essence, to be adopted into different Eslos, long enough to collect information and bring their findings back to Lamuda. The more races a child could represent, the more Eslos they would be trained to tag into. Who could say no to an innocent child? It was a horrible idea, as it went against everything that was considered moral as parents, adults, mentors, as a society, a culture. But without the information, the data, the findings, recordings, the photos, artifacts, there was no way the war could ever end. Two children in particular were the most advanced and fearless, fierce and unforgiving of them all. Tamo, a quiet, enigmatic, dangerous boy, and his half-sister, Sema, smart, undeterred, precise. Together, they were designed and trained to commit the ultimate crime and suffer unimaginable sacrifice. I should know. I trained them. I trained them all. Tomorrow, I'll be on my way to meet with Lingyun Chen, the chief of Xinjia, the Asian district. I'm in the corridor of the restricted zone, through which much of the Great Separation took place. Heading east along an old highway. Early this morning I saw, lying on the ground, a very rusty, barely legible sign marked 70. My e-bike then ran out of juice, so I've been on foot, pushing the two-wheeler, which is really not good because I'm just not as young as I used to be. I'll have to walk the rest of the way. I would prefer to continue during cooler hours at night, but then it's too hard to see because, no streetlights or electricity. The extremes in temperature are brutal. The heat waves during the day and the cold nights, a testament to the climate chaos the older generations left us with. You can see it in the cracks of the road, riddled with deep holes and moguls of asphalt and concrete. It's no wonder cars became irrelevant in the mid-century. Except, of course, for the no-gas thing. We ran out of that decades ago. All-terrain electrical, hydrogen vehicles were all that were good for anything. The military uses those big, armored trucks to threaten everyone, like a wolf herding sheep. Good thing is you can hear them coming from far away. And I can picture it now. A little kid, with her mom and dad taking turns holding her hand as they walked sometimes, getting a ride on a truck to their designated district, being told not to be distracted by looking at those horrible things that were occurring all around them. Many people had to walk thousands of miles, and the fortunate got on trains and trucks, and buses, or in cars, but most had to walk. Tens of thousands passing by each other all day and all night, like zombies, or falling to the ground, unmoving. She may have made the mistake of looking once, and then, in that instance, her heart broke. You never recover from a broken heart. Now, as I travel, I see tens of thousands of scattered personal things that Eslo migrants dropped, left behind, or even died with. Diapers, hats, torn gloves, empty water bottles, bags, a baby's shoe, a broken bicycle, a car without wheels. What was at one time, long ago, a green pasture that spread to the horizon on both sides, now just a landscape of trash and tragedy. What's really eerie is that I haven't seen a single soul in the restricted zone. I'm guessing those UDAP soldiers were killed, or they escaped, or they got old, or cold feet, or in fact, they are present. They could literally be only tens of meters from me. Anyway, I think I'm about another day's walk. I'm approximately 19 kilometers from the border of Xinjia at the before Kansas checkpoint. I'm really hoping someone in Border Patrol will give me a ride to see the chief. Some people, okay, many people, actually have heard of me. I was quite the controversial documentary producer back in the day. I used to be so confident. I could tell a story and audiences would react, they would respond, and now that I'm here, I think about the children we trained and sent into the world, to other districts, Eslos. Some of them probably along this very path I'm on now, like Tamo and Sema. They were so little. What I did was a war crime. I broke them. It's been decades, and it's too late to fix them. I am no better than those we brought down. So, now I have to find them, and the others, and bring them home.
Caucus After the Fall stars Michael To as Chief Lingyun Chen, Ian Lyons as William Deschenes, Jackie Davis as Chief Rose Jacobs, Rena Malashevsky as Chief Winona Redfeather, Nahim Garcia as Chief Ricardo Gutierrez, Celeste Oliva as Chief Amihan Bekele, Michelle Aguillon as Chief Akane Ashikaga, Shahjahan Khan as Lieutenant General Shimer Rashid, and Teja Arboleda as the producer, with additional voiceover by Barbara Wilson Arboleda. Created and written by Teja Arboleda. Script advisor Barbara Wilson Arboleda. Directed and executive produced by Teja Arboleda. Co-produced by Michael To and Barbara Wilson Arboleda. Original music and soundscaping by Arshan Galas. Edited by Teja Arboleda. Casting director Michael To. Development Director, Dan Watanabe. Marketing Coordinator, Katie Arboleda. Special thanks to Desiree Cooper. This podcast was recorded under a SAG-AFTRA micropod agreement. Caucus After the Fall is an entertaining diversity production in partnership with To Arboleda Films. Caucus After the Fall was developed from the original story Caucus by Teja Arboleda. All characters and other entities appearing in this work, Caucus, and Caucus After the Fall are fictitious. Any resemblance to real persons, dead or alive, or other real-life entities, past, present, or future, is purely coincidental. For more information, go to www.entertainingdiversity.com.